Now, the commander of Ukraine's ground forces says his troops are repelling Russian attempts to take the eastern city of Bakhmut, but that the situation there is still very difficult. Troops with Russia's Wagner private military group control at least half the city, but say the fighting is becoming more intense, and that's the further that they advance. Moscow has made a win in Bakhmut a strategic and symbolic priority, indicating they could pave the way for further advances.
In less than a week, starting from March 6th, we managed to kill more than 1,100 enemy soldiers in the Bakhmut sector alone, which is Russia's irreversible loss, the loss right there near Bakhmut. Furthermore, at least 1,500 more enemy sanitary losses, those who can no longer continue fighting. Plus, dozens of units of enemy equipment were destroyed, and more than 10 Russian ammunition depots were burned down.
The situation in Bakhmut is tough, very tough. The enemy is fighting for every meter, and the closer we are to the center of the city, the harder the fighting. The more the artillery is shelling at us, the more tanks appear. The Ukrainians throw in endless reserves. But we are advancing, and we will keep advancing.
Well, let's cross over to Stefanie Dekker, our correspondent, who's following developments from Kyiv for us. Stefanie, Bakhmut obviously is the focus of the fighting right now. I mean, conflicting reports about what's going on and the numbers of casualties. Just bring us up to speed on what we know.
It's very difficult to confirm those numbers of dead on both sides, but I think what is very clear that it is amounting a heavy death toll on both sides. It is an intense fight. It is a relentless fight that's been going on for almost 8 months now, with the Ukrainians holding the west, the Russians, the Wagner mercenary group, holding the east, now divided by the Bakhmutka River. And it's almost become street-by-street fighting. Hardly any civilians are left. Some estimates around 4,000 of the 70,000 residents in the town. And yes, you mentioned there, it has become hugely symbolic. Military analysts will tell you that if the Russians take Bakhmut, it will not change the course of the war, but it is a significant and symbolic victory. You had the Russians take the town of Soledar in January under a very similar situation after months and months of hard fighting. So there have been some gains that the Russians have made over the last couple of weeks and months on that eastern front. I mean, the reality is that the front line stretches from the north to the south, to Kherson, from Kharkiv, areas being shelled. But yes, the focus really has been from the politicians, from the media, on the town of Bakhmut at the moment. But again, at the moment, it is a back and forth, but both sides making it very clear that they remain determined to keep digging in.
For the update, thanks very much. Stefanie Dekker there for us in Kyiv.